Hi everyone, welcome to Transcendent Self 1, the spiritual sky. And lovely to have you all back with us again. Love this way to start off the week. Just start off any day really, but to start off the week with a kind of an intention to perhaps be a little bit more relaxed, allow a little bit more spaciousness in our lives, and that's what we're doing in this meditation. Just being the spiritual sky. And that just takes a little bit of a shift in our awareness as we kind of open ourselves out into a greater spaciousness inside of us. But we can begin that by kind of becoming aware of space around us. And the space, for example, between me and the camera, there's a space. But there's also a space between me and the computer. There's a space behind the computer screen. The room, of course, is space. And there's space behind me. And in life, we don't really pay too much attention to space. We pay much more attention to what is in space. In the Western culture, we spend more time focused on what is in the foreground and not what is in the background. Now, there's certain differences in cultures. In the Asian cultures, they're much more focused on what's in the background and less on the foreground. So it's different perspectives on life that just change our mindset and our way of looking at things. And again, all we're really interested in is what works for us. What way of looking at things works for us. There's not really right or wrong. We tend to get into that kind of polarization. This is the right way, this is the wrong way. What we really are looking at is the way that works. In one sense, the right way for you is the way that works for you. So when we do this meditation and when we go on this kind of inner journey, for want of a better word, you may find that certain things work and some things don't work. You drop what doesn't work and you go to what works. And what doesn't work today may work for you tomorrow. I've certainly found that to be the case, where things that were said to me 20, 30, 40 years ago, I didn't understand or ignored, and they suddenly make sense to me now. And I go, oh God, I wish I would have listened, or I wish I would have been able to apply it. But I don't really waste my time on those kind of thoughts. They'll flash in because it's like there's only now, right? And I'm aware of it now. And so that takes a certain listening skill, and I want to focus on that element of listening with you today so that we can go inside and listen. And there's a perfect excerpt that from John Roger on that, and let's just hear it now. Excerpt from JR.
Just want to ask you, what's the answer?
No, I have an answer.
You do?
Yeah. Just trying to find out how to put it down in a few words. When God created you by sending you forth as a it's like a hypostasis, an extension of God back into the world. He didn't use junk or crud, nor anything less than the very best. But what he did is he gave you your mind from the mental realm, or the call power, and says through your loving and your heart wisdoms, you'll overcome the negativity of the mind and the doubts that it has inherent within having a mind. Keep coming back to the heart and the soul, to your divine nature, and all these questions become nothing. They just become answers of how to follow through with what you've set up inside of you. And that takes care of the worry, the concern, the worthless feelings, the negative points of view, the public opinion point of view. You'll just not deal in that anymore because you'll be dealing with the divinity.
So we'll just use that as our key to go inside and connect to who we truly are, that extension of God. We don't always see that necessarily, because I think, well, I don't think, it pretty much is obvious that most of our life is spent kind of in the physical world, dealing with physical, emotional, mental things that we become attached to, that we judge, that we get caught up in, that occupy our mind and our attention. So the divinity doesn't get quite the attention that it could. And so we take these moments to reattune to that. And as we immerse ourselves in it, to allow it to give us the answer to whatever is going on in our life. And as John Roger mentioned, all the worries, all the problems, I mean, pretty much everything disappears. And so let's just close our eyes and just ask that the highest and purest light from the highest and purest source surround and fill each one of us and the space that we are in at this time. And that this light cleanse, purify, balance anything that may be going on inside of us at this time, as we allow this light to come into our bodies and just create that cleansing and purification, that balancing and healing throughout our cells. And we ask that this light now bring that cleansing into the outer environment as it disperses, dissolves, releases, and transmutes any energy that is not compatible with us, any negative energy, anything that may have been picked up from or through another person, anything in the environment. And we just ask that in the space we're in, that it be cleansed and purified and taken back into the nothingness from which it came for the highest good. So hopefully we can just find ourselves in that clear space inside of us and outside of us, that we can now just rest and relax. And what we want to continually do here is connect with the divinity, however you find that. Now, we don't want to get hung up on the words, very easy to do. So all I'm going to say is just to please connect with space. I think we know what space is. We know when we need our space. We know that when we're in a crowded place, or when we used to be in crowded places, that we wanted more space. So we're familiar with space, but we're going to go to space at a very refined level. And so as you connect with space inside of you, you'll notice thoughts will appear, distractions will appear. And your job, our job, is to find the space between them or around them. So even if you have an ache or a pain that emerges, just find the space around that pain or ache. And if you can, see if you can penetrate the pain or the ache and find the space within it. And when you do enter that space, enliven it with your presence. Now, at any point, you can just expand outward and be the spiritual sky. And what that means is that everything that you're aware of is contained within the spiritual sky. And if there's a thought, it's just a cloud or a bird flying through the sky. if there's worries, upsets, it's just weather. Maybe you're really upset, it's a hurricane. Maybe it's just a wind. Maybe it's a fire. But it's all part of the spiritual sky. It doesn't impact the sky at all. If I throw a stone through the sky is not damaged. Even a volcano, an eruption, the sky isn't damaged. You are that sky. And being in that sky, you can be listening. If there's anything that's been troubling you, you can find the answer in the sky just by listening. Remember, whatever that is troubling you, as important as it may seem, it's just passing through the sky. The sky will always outlast it. But where we can use the sky for our benefit is perhaps to allow, in this space, in this vastness, an intuitive response to whatever's going on in our lives. Perhaps you need direction. Perhaps something is unsolvable that you would like some kind of solution. Just listen. We always ask for the highest good. Jyotirmoji tells us that many people, when they hear about using the divine imagination to live in the true self, say, but that's not real. My response is, really? You are divine. You are a creator. You have the essence of God manifesting through you. Why can't you mock up something positive? You mock up your misery. You mock up your despair. You mock up your illness. Why not mock up who you are? You can use exactly the same principle you use to put yourself down and others, to lift yourself into who you are. When we enter the space of the spiritual sky, we know that we're connected with the great sky. There's no separation. It's interesting, isn't it? The sky above each of our heads is the same sky on the other side of the universe. It's holding all the planets and all of existence. And we're part of that. We're one with that. It's as if I went to the ocean and took a glass of it and brought it back here and asked the ocean in that glass, who are you? And if there were people around who weren't kind or aware, and if it were to say, I am the Pacific Ocean, people would point and laugh and just say, how ridiculous. Of course you're not. You're just a little glass of liquid sitting on a desk. And I think that's how we see ourselves. But to those who know, that glass sitting on the desk is the Pacific Ocean. It's no different. And so we could just take it back to the beach and put the water in the ocean, and it would join and become one once again with where it came from. It was never separate, really. It only looked separate. And if it wasn't taken back into the ocean, then the water would just evaporate, go into the heavens, become a cloud. It would rain, and that glass of ocean would be returned once again. Nothing can keep it from returning to its source. And it was always connected. And so it is with us, that the space that we're in, whether it be between our fingers, under our arms, under our chin, inside our heads, is all connected to the same space, the one space. And in that space lies all of our answers. And so now just take a moment just to listen in. And see what answers reveal themselves to you as to what your next step is. And occasionally I may just play a sound or two just to bring your awareness to the idea that you are the spiritual sky. Every time you hear a gong, or a bowl, or any kind of musical sound or note, just let that be your cue to come back into the space, that connection. The divinity is with you, in you, around you. It doesn't matter what you've done, you're here now, and you are loved. John Roger tells us that a great deal of the stress that people suffer is a result of not living right now, of being totally occupied with the past or the future. This is the cause of so many troubles. when you cut out your concern for the future and your remembrance of the past, you are right here now. Many people try to remember to be here now. However, when they try to remember, the very act of remembering throws them out of the now. If you stop remembering, or you forget to remember, you are in good territory. If you stop remembering, or you forget to remember, and just be here now, you are in good territory. Hold yourself in the now. The great poet William Blake tells us that in your own bosom you have your heaven and earth. All you behold, though it appears without, it is within. And John Roger tells us that there is a philosophical idea that in order to lift the planet, we must work here until the last consciousness has elevated up. I'm telling you that that idea isn't so. But what is so is that you must bring any person out there who's inside of you, the least one, into an unconditionally loving presence within yourself, or you will not be able to lift yourself above where they are. You do this for your own growth and upliftment, so that when you go within, you will find the loving there for that least one. There is a biblical statement that when you have done it to the least one of these, you've done it to me. The moment when you love the least one as much as you love the greatest one is when you touch into the complete oneness of the beloved. That's when you have vitality. That's when that loving moves in through your body, mind, emotions, and the diseases of life start to disappear. Then a wholeness, a wellness starts to come present inside of you and lifts you up and manifests out into the world. It's a humbling thought, isn't it, that where John Roger tells us that we must bring any person out there who's inside of us, the least one, into an unconditional loving presence within ourselves, or we will not be able to lift ourselves above where they are. And in another quote, John Rogers says, I found out a long time ago that if I am out of harmony with anyone inside of me, then I am out of harmony with myself also. So as a spiritual sky, you have the capacity to embrace it all. We all do. Because in that place, nothing can harm us. We're completely connected to the divinity. All power is ours if we feel a need for power. And so that we can leave everything in the sky as it is, allowing that sky to permeate any situation in our life, for it is part of the sky, even if it does not know it. And that includes any planet, any event on any planet, any event on this planet we call Earth. It's in the sky. It's within our power to accept it and love it unconditionally, allowing the sky to permeate it and bring it into the oneness for the highest good. As you begin to return to this world, there's no rush here, but it is an interesting exercise to see if you can bring that expansiveness back into your physical body. And you can do that by any place of tightness or contraction, to bring the spiritual sky, the space that you are, this divinity, and bring those spaces into your body so that you can feel that any tight places are almost like filled with space. Your space permeates the tight area, kind of opens it up. Naturally, no forcing. Just happens as you bring your awareness into it and have that intention to create more space there. And as it does, just allow the breath, the energy, the chi, just to expand a little more. Perhaps you feel it naturally stretching you a little bit in a gentle way. The breath finding its way throughout your whole body. And you can let that stretch go a little deeper, and that breath a little deeper. As you slowly open your eyes and return to the room. I do look at us as being in one room, by the way. I know we're spread out across the world, but feels very much like we're all together in a oneness. We'll see you all next week, hopefully, around the same time. So thank you all for joining us. Huge thanks to Stella for hosting, to Maria Jose Marignon for translating, and of course to Paul Wilcox, who single-handedly teched, is that the word? Teched is our technician. What do you say, teched? Teched the whole proceedings here and gave us those beautiful excerpts in and out. So God bless you all, and thank you. Please join us, and again, and having a wonderful time being with you. Thank you. God bless you all. See you next time.